Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenge of Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the true meaning of Bharani Nakshatra. And if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out me and the channel. And if you would like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart or a personal reading, the links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Okay, so today we're talking about Bharani Nakshatra. This is the nakshatra of life and death. But before I get into this one, there are going to be some negative things in this one. So I just want to let you all know that. Now, the things I talk about that are negative, as long as you are at least 20 years old, you won't have experienced these things. Or, will have already experienced these things. Alright. But, let's get into it. So, let me get my notes here. Alright. So, Bharani Nakshatra. The deity who rules Bharani is Yama, god of death. And the planet that rules Bharani is Venus, Shukra. Now, the animal symbol for Bharani is the bear, male bear or the male elephant, and also the owl. So owls, are a symbol of death. In many cultures, they symbolize that. But what else do we see with this bear and elephant symbolism? Well, these are animals that are the largest land animals in their respective areas of the world. So, you see that Bharani people are easily noticeable. When this person walks into a room, you spot them right away. It's like an elephant walked into a room or a grizzly bear walked into a room. Also, these people are very protective of children. Very protective of children. Because you don't mess with an elephant or a bear's kid. You are asking for trouble. You're asking to meet Yama. If you go, messing with their kids. So that's one thing you see with this. Also, women in particular with Bharani Nakshatra, when they have children, they tend to bulk up their upper bodies. So, for instance, if a woman's as thin as a rail before having kids, after having kids, they will be, they'll start to develop more upper body muscle. Reason being is this allows them to protect their children. So you'll see that if you're, a Bharani woman who hasn't had kids yet. Once you have kids, you'll start to put on more muscle. Now, this is the nakshatra of death and life. So this nakshatra is, not just tied to death, it's also tied to childbirth. Now, one thing that you'll see with Bharani people is they will have a near-death experience early in life. So this would be before the age of 20. They'll, have an experience where their heart stopped. Or, where they were in a serious accident that, nearly ended up with them dead. These are, very common things with Bharani people. Also, you will notice something with Bharani people where they have eyes like death. So what you see with this is Bharani people will have dark circles under their eyes. No matter how much sleep they've gotten. They'll always have those dark circles. Like they've seen what death is like. which of course, if they've had those near-death experiences, they have. Yeah, so you also see that. Now, another thing with Bharani people is they experience a lot of death before the age of 20. They'll have lots of family members who, might pass away at an early age, or friends that would have passed away. These people learn from an early age what death, really is. So that's, something we see with Bharani people. Now, there's a very good side to Bharani, though. And that is, Bharani is the nakshatra of justice. Now, this can make Bharani people a little judgmental at times, definitely. Because, they become like the judge. They know what's right. So they know when somebody's doing wrong. But Bharani people feel the need. They feel that weight of responsibility to do what is right. Now, this is kind of a heavy burden for them, though. They always feel like they have to do what is right. Now, don't get me wrong, you can have Bharani people who, break laws and do what's wrong. But that's when, Bharani is being overridden by other nakshatras and things like that. Or it's not like the dominant nakshatra. But Bharani people, from a base level, really have that strong sense of justice. They want to do what's right. They want things to be right, and they want them to be fair. But, they feel this weight, all throughout life. Like, they have to do what's right, even when it's hard. It's almost like a burden for these people. So you'll see that as well with Bharani people. Now, for the next part, we need to get into some of the mythology behind Bharani. So, Yama was the god of death. But there are some things that we, see with this through Yama's history and mythology. So, Yama was the child of the sun and the moon. But the moon felt that sun was burning her alive. So she left a clone of herself in her place to be the spouse of her husband while she was gone. So this clone of the moon didn't like didn't like the moon's children. In particular, Yama. Yama ended up kicking his stepmother. And when she, was kicked by him, she cursed him to have maggots in his leg. And then, Yama turns to his father and it's like, what mother would, curse their child this way? Now, what we see with this is these people feel very unloved by one of their parents. Now, I haven't seen this being just the mother. This can be mother or father. Stepmother, stepfather. But one of their parental figures, they will feel unloved by them. So that's definitely something you see with Bharani people. Now, as for the bug symbolism, says, oh yeah, we go there. Bharani people are very prone to bug bites, more prone than other people. So Bharani people will go to bed, wake up, and have a spider bite. No idea how they got it, but they'll have been bitten by a bug. They have that karma where bugs always seem to go after them. So that's another thing you'll see with this. Like Bharani symbolism is very prominent in Egyptian culture and in Egyptian mythology, architecture. But yeah. Now, another part of the mythology, and here we get into another one of those darker themes I was talking about, is Yama's sister wanted to have sex with him. And he refused her. So, what we see with this is there can be a tendency to deal with incest in a Bharani person's life. Now, it depends on each individual chart whether or not they would be the perpetrator of said incest or whether, they would be the one that was perpetrated upon. But you do see these themes of either incestuous tendencies or just dealing with incest. Like, this can be as minor to, like a crush on a cousin when they're a kid and don't know better. Or this can be, to a much more extreme. And this, tends to happen before the age of 20. So that's another thing that we see with Bharani. But Bharani also gives a tendency for a preference for older ways of doing things. Traditional things. Because Yama was the first mortal to die. So tradition becomes important with Bharani. They can have preference for, older ways of doing things, older artifacts. But also, nobody wants to rush towards death. So Bharani people, because they have that experience with death, they have this tendency to procrastinate in everything that they do. They delay, things in their life. Now, if, it's Bharani that's like heavily impacted by malefics, you'll see this person's always late. Always late. But if it's not heavily impacted by malefics, then, they'll just have a tendency to be a procrastinator. So another thing that we see with Bharani, though, is despite that, thing I said about incest, is they have a tendency towards being celibate early in life. Before the age of 20, they have a tendency to not have interest in sex. But after they reach their 20s, a switch kind of flips. And these people can become very sexual, very kinky even, into things like BDSM. This is a nakshatra of life and death. So, just like, childbirth involves that pain to create. Bharani people often like feeling pain along with their pleasure. So they can be into, sadism and masochism. So, that's something you'll notice with Bharani people too. But like I said, on the flip side though, these people can, be celibate. Like even as they get older. So it'll go one of two ways. Either they will remain celibate or they will lean more into that very sexual side. But I've seen both themes playing out. But, yeah. So these are, what you see with Bharani Nakshatra, though. It's a very interesting nakshatra. The key thing, though, is these people feel that weight to do what's right. They really feel that sense of responsibility. Joke around, it is the Spider-Man nakshatra. Because Spider-Man got his powers through being bit by a bug. He experiences all that death early in his life, and with great power comes great responsibility. That sense of justice to do what's right. But yeah, so that's what I have for you all with Bharani Nakshatra. And if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart or a personal reading, the links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.